Welcome back to my channel. Today is Monday, April 17th for this week's Human Design Transit Report, and the new transit begins today. So that's what we're going to talk about today is the new transit that starts today, and then also Mercury Retrograde that's coming up. And then I just want to alert you that on Thursday, I will be releasing another special transit report on the 20th because we have a new transit coming up on Saturday, and I want to make sure to get you that information ahead of time. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Well, as you can see from the chart here, we've got a lot of definition happening in that we have 3 different channels that are defined, which means we now have 4 centers that are defined. So before we even get into the specifics of the sun and the earth, one of the things I would suggest is that you would take a look at your own human design chart and see if any centers are now going to be defined that are not typically defined in your chart. Like for me, the emotional solar plexus is going to be defined, and it's not usually defined in my chart. So that means that I'm going to have access to more emotional energy that is particularly being activated through the knowing circuit. So I get to kind of play around with that and see what that feels like to me. So let's talk about that 3955 for a second. So the 39 is on the root center, and the 39 is getting lit up by Mars right now. And the 39 is known as provocation or recalibration in quantum human design. And the 55 is about faith. It's about abundance and faith. So this is a beautiful energy that's in the knowing circuit that is here to provoke us to believe that we are going to have what we need when we're going to need to have it. Okay, which is really the new paradigm that we're moving into. We've been in Western culture in a paradigm where we believed we had to accumulate in order to be safe, right? We needed to have more than we needed. We needed to put aside even the whole thing about, saving for retirement and all of that. That's all about accumulation. Right. And that's really what the economy in Western countries is based on, is this idea of accumulation, which unfortunately typically is based on extracting from the earth. And at this point, we're getting pretty clear that that has to change. Like we have to stop doing that, certainly the way we've been doing it and at the scale we've been doing it. So the antidote to that is to understand, which is what the 55 offers us. And Saturn has been lighting up the 55 for a while, and it's going to continue to light up the 55 because that's what Saturn does. Is it just stays in a gate and just, kind of keeps focusing on it and saying, are you going to learn this lesson that you're going to have what you need when you're going to need to have it? And you don't need to live in fear of scarcity, which is really the basis of why we accumulate, is we're afraid of not having enough. And if we have this sense that we're going to have enough, then we don't need to accumulate, right? And we don't need to extract at the same level that we are, and so on. So that's a whole video in itself. But I just want to point out for you that during this time, you have the opportunity to really kind of up-level your faith. Up-level your faith in abundance, that the universe has your back, and that you're going to have what you need when you need to have it. Now, the sun is lighting up the gate 3, which is on the sacral center. So it is life force energy. It's powerful. The sacral is the most powerful engine in the chart. And the 3 in traditional human design is known as difficulty at the beginning. And in quantum human design is innovation. And it's met by its mate, the gate 60, which is Pluto is lighting up. Now, Pluto has been in the 60 and it's going to be in the 60. Pluto has just been going, okay, when are we going to really decide which of the innovations are worth us giving our attention to? Because it's this place where the knowing circuit comes together and then moves up the central channel. And it's this point at which we're kind of sorting through all of the leading edge, breakthrough, out-of-the-box ideas, possibilities, downloads, and so on that has come to us through that knowing circuit. And it's saying, okay, which ones are we're going to keep, right? Right. And so it's a sorting process. It's called conservation. And so its mate is the 3. So we've got this whole channel going on during this week. And so one of the things you might want to look at is, what are the things that have come to you that you've become aware of, that maybe you have downloaded yourself, or you've become aware of yourself, or you have heard from other people, or that you've learned about, that you're like, okay, which of these are the innovation that I want to bring forward? And I think the reason that the 3 is known as difficulty at the beginning in traditional human design is that innovations, bringing things into form, right? Bringing new things into form can be difficult at the beginning, right? Because you're kind of going, well, number one, what form? Right? What form am I going to bring this into? What language am I giving it? Is it going to be something that's virtual? Is it going to be something that's physical? Is it going to be both? If so, where is it going to happen? What's the format, right? I would encourage you not to get stuck in the difficulty at the beginning. Just know that when you're doing something unique, something leading edge, something out of the box, chances are it is going to be difficult at the beginning. But that doesn't mean you have to get mired in it. It doesn't mean you have to identify with it. It doesn't mean you have to give that energy, because if you give it energy, it's just going to grow, right? But if instead you're like, ooh, what's the innovation that's becoming really apparent to me at this time, that my inner knowing is telling me, yes, I want to put my energy in that direction? Then the Earth is lighting up the gate 50, which is on the spleen center. And it is the center for values in traditional human design, and the center for nurturing in quantum human design. So it's part of the defense subcircuit of the tribal circuit. And this is the part of the tribal circuit that's really kind of close in. It's really about our relationships with our families, our kids, our parents, our siblings, our extended families, kind of the people who are close in for us. And it can be close relationships that aren't necessarily blood, right? Relationships, they can be, chosen family as well. But the idea here is, what are the terms upon which, what are the values upon which we are, we know who we are as a people. We know what our tribe is. What are the values around which our tribe is developed? A simple example of this, right? Any of you, your parents, this one, right? It's like, don't hit, use your words. Right? Just kind of basic, but if you've had kids, that that's something that they need to learn, right? Because they get very energized and they get very emotional, and sometimes they just get very kinetic. And, I've been known when I was a kid to throw mud at people or whatever. It's like, stop, use your words, right? So that's an example of a value, right? Where we're trying to be nonviolent, and it's not that you don't get to express yourself, but it's that you aim to express yourself in ways that are non-harming, right? And not in ways that are harmful. So that's kind of that distinction. Now, it is being met by its mate, the 27, which is on the sacral center, and that's being lit up by the North Node. Now, the North Node is really kind of an energy that, when we look at it in our own individual chart, it's always there, but it seems that it comes on more strong in the second half of life. But just know, if it's here being lit up, it's something that we are being influenced by right now. So the 27 is really known as kind of the grandmother, mother gate. It's a very nurturing gate. It's very caretaking, and it's been renamed accountability in quantum human design. I think to help, especially those of us who are women, to become accountable to ourselves for our own energy, so that we're not overgiving. Because this particular channel, and the 27 in particular, can be a place where we can get codependent. Whether that means that we are over nurturing and over controlling and trying to you can imagine, like, this piece about values and how we know who we are as a people. If you become authoritarian about that, that can be pretty hard on the kids, right? Or the younger people, or the people that you have authority over, right? And so we don't want to do that, but we also don't want to be a doormat. We don't want to overgive. We don't want to nurture at our own detriment, right? To the point where we're depleted. We always want to be able to give out of the overflow of the abundance of our energy, which, being on the sacral, if we're taking care of ourselves and we're living true to our design, should not be that difficult to do. Okay, so it is a really beautiful energy for taking care of the tribe, for passing on our values. I've been doing a lot of work in my book on feminine sovereignty, in particular around indigenous foodways, indigenous land stewardship, different ways that people who were here before Europeans came. And of course, there's a great diversity, 15 million people in the Americas, before Europeans came. So huge diversity up and down the two continents, of course. And there was often a common sense of a relationship to the land and of being a part of the land and of being part of the natural world, not being separate from it, like somehow the natural world's out there and we're not that. We have to go to the natural world. It's like, no, we are a part of that. And everything is our relatives, and we need to be treating everything in the world as if they were our relatives. That is an example of values that I know I was not brought up with, right? But it's something that I'm definitely leaning into and feeling into and going, wow, that's a really different worldview. And so during this transit, you can be thinking about, well, what are the values that I really want to live by now? I think a lot of us are taking another look at our values, right? And we're going, well, the ones that I grew up with, are those really the ones that I want to, keep going in the world? Are they the ones that I want to live by? Are they the ones I want to pass on to my kids and to future generations? I know for me, I'm breaking away from that story of progress, which is all about extraction, right? I'm breaking away from that. I'm looking for different sets of values for me to live by. So if that is appealing to you, this is a really good time to look at that, because the earth is lighting it up, and it's like, what are the values that you're going to ground yourself in? And when you do that, then innovation will become easier for you, right? You won't have so much difficulty at the beginning. And for me, leaning into new sets of values absolutely is innovative. It's innovative for me. If I'm choosing to be influenced by values of other people, it may not be so innovative for them, but it's certainly innovative for me. So there's a lot of food for thought here. And finally, just a heads up that Mercury is going retrograde on the 21st, and it'll be retrograde through May 14th. So that's a big chunk of time. It's over 3 weeks. And so mostly you just want to pay attention to your communication, right? It is. Some people say that it really affects technology. I've had that experience. I think it's particularly if it's communication technology, not just any technology like airplanes or something, but communication technology in particular. And Mercury is going retrograde in the gate 2. So the gate 2 is where the magnetic monopole is. It's right here on the G center. And it is the energy that is attracting things into our lives. Okay, it's a place of receptivity and attraction. And it's called allowing in quantum human design. And so you want to kind of lean into, what is it that I am allowing in? Am I allowing things in? Let me take another look at whether or not I'm allowing myself to be radiant so that I can be attracting more of the things into my life that I truly want and I truly desire. Or am I a little bit closed in my heart, not so sure if I want things coming in, right? Mercury's kind of saying, take another look at this, because you want your magnetic monopole to be activated with positive anticipation, with gratitude, with compassion, with enthusiasm, so that you are allowing things to be coming in to you, which are the things that you really desire, rather than attracting things that you are afraid of, which happens if we are spending too much of our emotional energy in the realm of fear. So you have a choice about what kind of emotional tone you want to have, and then how that's going to calibrate the energy of the magnetic monopole and what you're bringing into your life. And I just see this as an opportunity to really take another look. Like retrogrades are like, let's go back over this territory again. Let's take another look. Let's see how I am communicating about my sense of receptivity and allowing in, and my trust that things that I need are going to come to me. We've got a little bit of a theme here with Saturn lighting up that 55, which is basically saying that we will have what we need when we need to have it. And then here we are working with that energy of the 2, saying, okay, I'm going to allow that in. I'm going to allow it in. I'm going to allow it in. Because my experience, a lot of people have some pretty big blocks against receiving. So take a look at that for yourself. I also want to let you know that this Thursday on the 20th, I will be doing a ceremony and a teaching on Venus, Welcome Venus, for the season of Taurus. It's starting on Thursday. And Venus is all about beauty and luxury and self-care, and it's going to be really fun. So I invite you to come into the Becoming Sovereign virtual retreat center, where I'll be broadcasting that, and you can come and join us, and you just take a look in the description for the link to do that. All right. Many blessings. Much love.